Something very sinister is brewing in the United States of America right now. Cancel culture is on the rise, and it's on the rise because the Republican Party has embraced it in ways we have never seen before. Weaponizing cancel culture to get teachers fired, airline employees fired, and Jimmy Kimmel and network hosts off air. And you know who may be next? The women of The View. That, according to FCC Chairman Brendan Carr. What was once denounced as a Scrooge by conservatives, the practice of cancel culture in America is making a comeback. And tonight, we need to talk about it and have a very serious conversation because it's being wielded in by the very voices who once cast it as an existential threat to free speech in the United States of America. And unlike before, this new wave of cancel culture is not framed in the language of accountability or social justice. Instead, it's being masked in the rhetoric of government power, corporate compliance, and partisan punishment. And at its center is a glaring irony and contradiction. Conservatives who once railed against deplatforming and censorship are now embracing the exact same tactics that they spent years condemning. For years, Republicans positioned cancel culture as a threat to open debate, as a threat to the First Amendment. Charlie Kirk decried cancel culture as a threat to the First Amendment. Figures like Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Tucker Carlson made a career after blasting woke mobs for destroying livelihoods over politically incorrect speech. But in the wake of Charlie Kirk's killing, the right has shifted its tune, and suddenly the same tactics they once labeled as censorship are now being celebrated. And the reason why is a lot more dangerous than what many people think. This isn't just about cancel culture. This is about an authoritarian power grab by an executive that believes in this vision of a unitary executive. The Trump administration is actively cracking down on First Amendment rights, cracking down on the media, all in the goal of solidifying and consolidating power in the executive branch in ways the United States of America has never seen before. Take today, for example. Donald Trump openly admitted that networks are not allowed to cover him in a negative light. And if they do, their license could be revoked. Quote, "They're 97% against. They give me wholly bad publicity. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away," Trump said. Watch this.
Mr. President, are you going to ask Brendan Carr to weigh in on other late night hosts that you have said should be off the air?
Late night host is on network television. There is a licensing. I'll give you an example. I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I get 97% negative, and yet I won it easily. I won all 7 swing states, popular, I won everything. And if they're 97% against, they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr. I think Brendan Carr is outstanding. He's a patriot. He loves our country, and he's a tough guy. So we'll have to see.
Why is that not a free speech issue?
When you think about this, 97% of the stories are opposed to me, and yet I win easily the election. It's pretty amazing when you think of it. That shows they have no credibility.
He went on to say that when you have a network, you have evening shows, and all they do is hit Trump. That's all they do. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. And his statement concluded with perhaps the most chilling line of all. They're getting a license. I think maybe their license should be taken away. And in that moment, in a single conversation on Air Force One, the President of the United States confirmed what critics have long feared, that the use of government licensing power to control or silence negative media coverage is not just here, it's coming too. Social media campaigns are targeting workers who mocked Charlie Kirk's death, with employees at major companies, including American Airlines and NASDAQ, becoming suspended or fired after online comments were flagged to employers. What was once criticized as a dangerous speech policing mob has now been adopted as a political weapon, and the principle of defending speech no longer seems universal. It has become conditional depending on which side of the aisle you are on. And the hypocrisy becomes clearer when you compare how cancel culture is being applied depending on the political affiliation of the speaker. Take, for example, Fox News host Brian Kilmeade, who sparked outrage in the past week, suggesting that homeless people with mental illness should be executed. Remember this clip?
Billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right. I would say this. We're not voting for the right people. In North Carolina, wake up.
Well, Brian Kilmeade, following that clip, received backlash, and the backlash was swift. Kilmeade offered a limited apology, but critics pointed out that it did not renounce the dehumanizing statement. Many seized on the moment as evidence of broader right-wing hostility toward the poor and mentally ill. But did Kilmeade lose his job? Was he deplatformed? Was he taken off air? No. He remains on air, collecting millions from Fox News, and he could do that. Fox News could do that. But he is the same advocate for canceling people on the left, even though he wasn't canceled for his speech on the right. For conservatives, cancel culture doesn't seem to extend to their own. It only applies to their political opponents in this moment. And this selective enforcement undermines the very idea of a consistent principle. Because this outreach isn't about defending free speech, folks. It's about pushing and punishing the other side. And while grassroots campaigns target individuals, the federal government has begun playing a larger role in these culture cancel wars. In the past 24 hours, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, a Trump appointee who authored the Project 2025 chapter on the FCC, has escalated efforts against media figures critical of the right. He previously pushed ABC to suspend Jimmy Kimmel Live and was successful in doing so. And today he came out and floated the idea of reviewing The View's status as a bona fide news program. Watch this.
Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers at NBC. Just wondering, do you have comments on those shows? And are they doing what Kimmel did Monday night? And is it even worse on those programs, in your opinion?
Well, if you can be unfunny, that's fine. And a lot of people are sort of saying that, well, people are punishing Kimmel because they don't like a joke that he told. But, we don't need to rehash it here. But obviously what he said was not a joke. It wasn't presented at all that way. But when you look at these other TV shows, what's interesting is the FCC does have a rule called the equal opportunity rule, which means, for instance, if you're in the run-up to an election, you have one partisan elected official on, you have to give equal time, equal opportunity to the opposing partisan politician. So far, so good. But there's an exception to that rule called the bona fide news exception, which means if you are a bona fide news program, you don't have to abide by the equal opportunity rule. And over the years, the FCC has developed a body of case law on that and has suggested that most of these late night shows, other than SNL, are bona fide news programs. And potentially, I would assume you could make the argument that The View is a bona fide news show. But I'm not so sure about that. And I think it's worthwhile to have the FCC look into whether The View and some of these other programs that you have still qualify as bona fide news programs and therefore exempt from the equal opportunity regime that Congress has put in place.
Got about 30 seconds.
Folks, if the FCC reclassifies the daytime talk show, it could be subjected to equal time rules, a bureaucratic mechanism that could force networks to give airtime to pro-Trump voices whenever his critics speak. This represents a dangerous shift. Not just private sector campaigns, but actual government intervention aimed at silencing or balancing political speech. And the same conservatives who once said that government should stay out of media now appear eager to use federal power as a censorship tool. And these ripple effects extend beyond media and government. Private companies are being pushed into culture wars, facing pressure to punish employees for their political speech online. Even Starbucks found itself caught in the crossfire because after a viral TikTok showed a barista refusing to write Charlie Kirk on a cup, the company had to clarify its policies. Customers are now free to use Kirk's name in orders. And what's happening in America right now is not just the return of cancel culture, it's a transformation. Once seen as a tool for progressives, it is now weaponized by conservatives, corporations, and even federal agencies. And the result is a scary one. It's a system where free speech protections no longer apply universally. Instead, they're selectively invoked. Critics of the right face career-ending consequences, while conservative figures are shielded from accountability. And this isn't just hypocrisy, it's the institutionalization of a double standard. It reveals the fight that was never really about free speech in the abstract. It was about power, who gets to speak, who gets silenced, and who controls the conversation. And right now, that power is being consolidated through fear, firings, and federal oversight. If speech is only defended when it comes from your side, then free speech ceases to exist. It becomes a privilege, not a principle. Something sinister is indeed brewing in these United States of America, and the question remains, will this country recognize that the real danger is not who is being canceled, but rather the growing acceptance of cancel culture as a tool for political power? You let me know, and I'll see you in the morning. Hey folks, Aaron Parnas here. Thank you so much for watching The Parnas Perspective. Please consider subscribing to support our work as we grow this independent news media entity into something that rivals mainstream every single day. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.